Okay, so this is a hobby, right? So that's kind of the way I'm treating it. So, been working on this car for a couple hours this morning. 76 Trans Am, original owner, daily driver. Pretty good shape when I got it, but definitely need it gone through with almost 93,000 miles on it. Today we spent the morning getting the air conditioning components, the radiator, the heater hoses, and the front radiator support off of the car, and then breaking the inner fenders from the outer fenders so that those can be cleaned up and repainted correctly. Um, didn't have a lot of problems yesterday with, I think I broke 0 bolts yesterday, but several of those retainer clips that GM uses on the back sides of the bolts. Today was not quite as easy. I broke quite a few more, so thank goodness you can buy a lot of the bolts and hardware you need for these cars pretty much anywhere that restores or has restoration parts for old cars. Um, Big challenge today really was the lower radiator supports, passenger side. This is the hardware that came off the passenger side, the big bolt down here on the bottom. This is actually inside the front of the frame rail and acts as a big washer nut. And then the rubber bushing is on top of the frame rail, and then the radiator support, and then these washers go on top of that, and the bolt goes through the top. So passenger side was pretty easy. Driver's side, for some reason the driver's side just seems to be a little bit tougher on everything from the fender to the radiator support. So on the driver's side, even though I soaked it, it snapped, and so I'm gonna have to source new radiator support, bolt and bushing and all that stuff, which is fine. I want to replace all this stuff anyway. And then at the top of the radiator support, you'll see on this side, this is all cleaned off. This part right here is right where the radiator support sits, and the bolt runs through to hold the top of the radiator support. On this side, this is what it's supposed to look when the radiator support comes off. It's got a nut on the bottom, and then the radiator support bushing, this is actually metal, and then the radiator support sits down on top of it, and then another washer and a nut go on top. This side I was able to save. The other side, once again, it was actually already broken when I got to it. So at some point, the vibration of the car and the corrosion had caused that one to just snap. So probably going to go ahead and replace both sides. Got all the air conditioning bracketry off. This is the lower bracket right here. I just left it sitting on the A-frame for now. It needs to be degreased. And got all that bracketry off. Got to figure out, I know my new head, my new valve covers are going to be taller, so this bracketry may work with some finagling, or I'm going to have to figure out if there's some bracketry out there that's made for those taller valve covers that can be used readily. I'm going to keep this as an air conditioning car. And yeah, so I'm going to go get me some rubber plugs for the holes. Don't worry, I'm going to leave paper towels in those holes. And then, yeah, working on getting it all tore down. Getting all the wiring harness pulled. This is the front wiring harness for the headlights and the turn signals and everything. So I got all that pulled back and out of the way. It's ready to go through the firewall when I take the inside of the car apart. And then even though I am gonna put a new wire harness on the car, just because this one's 48 years old and I'm not gonna deal with chasing gremlins after I get this car back together. I'm gonna put a whole new wire harness in, but I'm going ahead and labeling the old wire harness, so when the new one comes in, I can lay it side by side and make sure that I've got a good comparison. So that's kind of it for today. It's about noon. I'm going to call it quits. I've got yard work to do, and this afternoon I want to do a few other things. So, till next weekend.